Good morning, everyone. My name is Chef Peter. I'm from Alberta, pastry chef for many years. I'm here to talk to you about pure flour from Europe. It's an organic flour, fantastic, strong flour. And the brand here is Molina Casilo. So it's a very good, strong flour. And we're going to be making some cantucci, very traditional Italian biscuit or cookie. We know it in North America as biscotti. Everyone knows biscotti. There's many versions of it. So we're going to do something very basic. And I'm going to show you how to do it. It's actually quite simple. Yeah? I'm going to show you with using the flour, organic flour, and the assembly, how to put it together. So we're ready to go. So first, now, what I've done is I've measured most of the ingredients already, right? Makes it quite easy. The only thing is here is I'm going to show you that I'm using flour, Casilla flour, and I'm going to measure it here on my scale, and we'll be posting the recipe onto the Facebook site, and we can share that with you. So what I'm going to do is just what I like to do is use a whisk or even a sieve, just to stir the flour a bit in case there's any lumps. Sometimes the lumps can happen, when flours have been traveling, across the country or in delivery, with the cold chain, etc. So I've got my flour ready. Now what we need to do first is start with butter. Butter, sugar. We're going to cream that together so it's lightened up. Not full. We don't want to whip it up super light because otherwise the biscotti won't come out nicely, right? It'll split in the oven. So we're just going to cream the butter and sugar together. Add a little bit of egg to it. I'm going to put some lemon zest to give it a really nice flavor to it. And then we'll fold in the flour, right? Once that's done, then we'll just mold it, and then we'll bake that off. So here we go. Butter. Now it's very important that the butter is at room temperature. And you have to remember to use block butter, real butter, not the soft spreadable margarine, soft spreadable butter or anything like that. It doesn't work well. Yeah, it doesn't hold up in the oven. So it has to be pure butter, 100% butter. Yeah. And sugar. I'm going to add that to the mixer as well. And a little bit of salt, just a pinch of salt. You can add that at the same time. Now, for butter, also keep in mind that. One second. Let me turn on the power. My mistake. No. Why is it not working? Sorry about that. It was working yesterday. Here we go. Okay. So it's mixing carefully, not too fast. We just want to cream the butter. So while that's mixing, eggs. Crack them in the bowl. And I'm going to whisk them up. This is important because eggs are a little bit, they hold together. So you want it to be loose because we have to add it slowly. If you add the eggs too quickly or you add them whole, it could split your butter. Because you have to remember butter is the fat and eggs is the water. based ingredient. So if it's not done in the right stages, it could split your batter. So this is a small amount. It's not going to take much time. As a matter of fact, it's almost ready now. Second most important thing is when it comes to these ingredients here, they have to be all at room temperature. So take your eggs out a little bit far in advance, like 20 minutes or so. Your butter also has to be relatively soft. And I'm just going to scrape it down just to make sure that all the butter has been captured and the sugar has been absorbed by the butter. Here we go again. So, eggs, yeah, pour it in slowly, a little bit at a time, until that egg has been absorbed by the butter-sugar mixture. Usually about 15-20 seconds between each addition. And I'm about halfway now of adding the egg, and I'll scrape it down again. So the scraping down part is very important as well. We want to make sure that we get all the butter, all the sugar, and all the egg to be mixed in the right proportions. And add that slowly. In the meantime, I've got my flour. I got baking soda and baking powder here, both mixed together. And add that to the flour. Gently just mix it so it's blended nicely. Again, you can use a sieve also to sieve it together. That's recommended. If you don't have one, that's fine. Just blend it together for about 10-15 seconds. And the egg, we are almost ready. So I have the flour. The last thing I'm going to add, before I add the flour, is going to be lemon zest. So I have one whole lemon here, and I got a microplane. So it's a microplane is basically a grater that has very fine teeth. So you get very thin pieces of lemon skin. Yeah, without the bitterness. You don't want the white part because that's quite bitter. Now I like lemon. I like citrus. So I'm going to really give it lots of lemon here. You see that every time I move the lemon, I'm turning it slowly so I can get all the yellow part off. And if you look closely, it has all these little pockets of oil, the lemon oil. This is what we want. Yeah, we don't want the white part. That's too bitter. The lemon oil, this is going to give us a lot of good flavor. Okay. Last bit of egg. And I'll slow that down a bit. There we go. Got our lemon in. It smells fantastic. Okay. Give it one more scrape, just to make sure we have proper distribution of all of our ingredients. Voila. I think we're ready. Okay, so I'm just going to stop that for a moment. And add a little bit of the flour. and very carefully, slowly mix it to incorporate the flour. If you do it too quickly, flour is going to fly out of the bowl and make a mess. And you don't want to mix it too much also in between additions. There we go. Perfect. Now I'm just going to scrape it down again. Just to make sure that all the dry flour is picked up, and that's it. You don't want to overmix it, especially if you're using a hard flour, a strong flour. This has 13-14% protein in it. So the more you mix it, the more gluten you develop, and then it'll become a bit gummy and elastic. So you don't want to. You just want to mix it just long enough, just to make sure all the dry ingredients are blended, and then form it into a mold, and then bake it. So now I'm just going to get some flour here onto the table. Yeah. Get my biscotti batter here. Okay. So you can see that it's relatively soft, yeah, almost like a shortbread recipe, quite similar. And I'm just going to roll it into a log shape. Actually, I'm going to do 2 small ones. That's what I'm going to do. Dust a little bit of flour. Now here, you don't want to knead it or mix it at all. That's already been done. Yeah, you just want to form it into a round log shape, like this here. Keep the edges nice and sharp, nice and clean. Yeah. That's number 1. And number 2 here. And there we go. Now, I'm just going to transfer this here to a baking tray. Very gently, just roll it onto your hands. Roll it. It's quite soft. Don't worry about it being a little bit misshapen. That's all right. It looks like it's handmade that way, right? So, last step here is you're just going to flatten them out slightly. Like that. Yeah. Keep the edges flat. If there's any points that are sticking out, it can burn in the oven. This is what you don't want. So keep it relatively uniform, like that here. The size, the length, everything should be the same, so they bake evenly, right? So this is going to go in the oven. This is what it should look like. Quite easy. You guys watch me how to do it, right? Okay, we are baking that at 170 for 18 minutes, I believe it is. Correct. 170 degrees or 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So in Canada, look, we have to know both, right? We have to know the European measurements. We have to know Canadian also, but also American. A lot of our packaging all comes from U.S. And we tend to know. Especially in the food and beverage industry, chefs, etc. We know both measurements. So 350, 170. So while that is baking, I actually prepared some in advance because we have a bit of a short time frame. So this is what it should look like when it comes out. Yeah. You can see it's expanded a bit. That's because of the baking powder and baking soda. Yeah. It's a little bit brown on the outside, medium brown. It's light brown, golden brown in the center. Perfect, yeah. And so that's step 1, yeah, of baking. Now, biscotti means, bake twice, right? So what you have to do here is slice them, yeah, and I'll do that here. I have my cutting board, bread knife, yeah. So I'm going to slice it into, I'd say 1 centimeter or ½ inch biscuits, like this here. Very gently, don't push through, just in a sawing motion back and forth, like this here. And you get at least 12 out of it. You don't want to slice them too thick, because you won't be able to kind of dry them out a little bit, right? Okay. The end pieces, this is for the chef, right? The rest is for the customer. All right? All right. So this is what it should look like here. If you feel it, it's a little bit soft in the center and a little bit dry on the outside, so, which is fine. Yeah? So now what we're going to do here is now we have to lay these flat, back on a baking tray, into the oven, 4 or 5 minutes, flip them over, and another 4 minutes, and we take them out, let them cool, and they're ready to eat. So I'm going to put these on a baking tray here, same one I used earlier, and lay these out nice and flat. Those ones no need. So they're going to go like that in the oven, like I said, about 4 or 5 minutes. Keep an eye on it. Look, every oven is a little bit different. Pastry chefs, bakery chefs, I mean, we know this. So we always keep an eye on things. If we say it's going to take 4 minutes, usually we come back after 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes and we check just in case, right? Especially if you have convection oven. Convection oven, this colors very quickly. So this is very important. You know, if you just have a conventional oven, fine, yeah. So now once that is finished and they're baked, again, I come prepared, right? And this is what it should look like. So you see the tops and the sides, you know, they're all nicely browned, you know, has a nice, attractive look to it, caramelized, and that's what we want, right? So, sorry, I added some sampling here already. So, but typically, yeah, this is how the Italians like to enjoy their cantucci. Yeah, a little bit of bubbly on the side, you know, some biscotti, cantucci, and yeah, there's many versions of this. I'm sure you've seen. Made with pistachio, made with almonds. Almond is quite popular, actually. You can add a little bit of almond powder in it. This year you have to work with the recipe a bit. You can't just add it, you know, otherwise you mess up the whole structure, and it won't bake the same. So there's many recipes out there. So feel free to reach out. You know, I have several recipes. You know, I worked in many different hotels, worked in different parts of the world, and I love it. Yeah. And there's one thing I always say to people, you know, especially in baking the pastry, I always get to eat my mistakes. Anyway, do you have any questions out there?
Yes, I want to receive some questions for you, Chef.
Sure.
The first one is, can I make it without dairy?
Can we make it without dairy? It's possible. You can use margarine. It's possible. Just for people who are dairy intolerant, just check the ingredients on there. Sometimes, you know, margarines will say may contain dairy protein or whey protein. So this is very careful if you're dairy free. So just check that. It's possible. You can substitute 1 for 1. In other words, if it's 1 cup of butter that's asked in the recipe, you can put 1 cup of margarine. Any other questions?
Yes. One more. Can I use all the ingredients as well?
Other ingredients? Yeah, okay. Other ingredients meaning like almonds or pistachios, you know, for flavors. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible, but you cannot just add it. You know, there's a certain amount of dry ingredients in there. There's a certain amount of wet ingredients in there, and fat as well. So there's a good balance there to make sure that you come up with a very good product, right? So that takes a little bit of engineering and removing some dry ingredients, adding, you know, almond powder or something like that. This is possible, yes.
And it's possible to freeze them?
Freeze.
Yes.
Now, if you want to freeze, how do you want to freeze? Do you want to freeze the dough or the cookie? Yeah, it's possible. You can make the dough in advance and freeze it, but because it has baking powder and baking soda, you have to remember once these ingredients become hydrated with water, there's a time limit on it. So that will eventually lose gas, over time. Even if you freeze it, the strength will diminish a bit. So don't leave it too long in the freezer. If you want to freeze after baking, what I suggest is do the first baking and then wrap them up. And then when you want to serve them again, take out the loaf, yeah, let it defrost, slice it like this here, toast them in the oven, and you get super crispy biscottis, every time. Frozen eggs? Yeah, of course you can use frozen eggs. Yeah. Now, the eggs that I used here are medium eggs. So medium eggs are roughly 45 grams each, of egg. Large eggs are around 50 plus. So just keep in mind the recipe. My recipe here calls for 2 whole eggs. So that comes around 90 grams of liquid egg. So you can substitute. Gram per gram or milliliter per milliliter for sure. It's possible. Now you get the same results.
Last one is possible to have a gluten-free version.
A gluten-free version. Well, I don't think Molino Casino produces a gluten-free flour. But to make it, I believe there are some flours out there, types of gluten-free flours that you can use. But this I'm not too sure on. And if the quality, if you can do it like measure for measure, this I could not answer. Best to stick with Molino Casilo. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Have a great morning, and I'll see you later.